So today, all the way from Egypt, we are going to discuss how English is important, especially in the time of COVID-19 and in the current business environment. Hagar, could you please introduce yourself and what do you do for business?
Hello, guys. My name is Hagar. I've been teaching English in the university for like 2 years. And I've been teaching English for 5 years of my life. And I've been speaking English for 12 years of my life. And English is everywhere in my life. So this is basically.
So tell us about your current presence on social media. Where can people reach out to you? What are you doing?
Well, I have a Facebook page and I also have an Instagram page and a YouTube channel under the name of English with Hagar, where I share with people tips and tricks on how to actually learn the language in the best way they can. And I also run an online business where I teach people. We have a special team, all professional team where I teach people. We teach people how to actually make English a part of their day and learn it as quickly as possible.
So, like you have been speaking English for a long period of time now. What was your learning experience, or what was your experience with English during your school days? How were you different from your friends and classmates?
Okay, it you might think it's weird, but well, first I've been exposed to English and listening to a lot of videos, a lot of movies in English, a lot of songs, and I've challenged myself to actually use the language with my friends, with my colleagues, with my English teacher in school. And none of my friends actually did that. They were all stuck in the place where they study grammar and memorizing words and stuff like that, but not really practicing the language. So my approach was that I was actually practicing the language, listening more and talking more.
Okay, the point here is like people like might have problems with getting the sentence together, fixing the words together, and producing correct sentences. Sometimes they are afraid. What would you advise?
Okay, so what I advise is I have this something that I actually follow in all aspects of my life, not just English. And it also started with English, by the way. I used to listen a lot to a lot of how to use the English and stuff like that, but I was really afraid to talk. I was actually super afraid. Oh my God, they're going to actually judge the way I'm speaking. I'm not going to be able to put a sentence together. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this correctly. But my advice is face your fear, it disappear. The more you face it, the more you talk, the more you practice, this is going to go smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it voila vanishes.
So my other
That's
my
what my
question
advice.
here is, you are, let's say, recommending more fluency, more practice. Where can,
Exactly.
yeah, where can the people find opportunities to practice the language?
Okay, nowadays we have tons and tons and tons of opportunities. What I always advise my students is go online and search for something you're interested in. It could be football, it could be basketball, it could be tennis, it could be fashion, it could be music, it could be anything you like, and start exposing yourself to the language, any language, especially English here, in the field that you like. So the barrier you have is only the language, not understanding what you're talking about. You were already interested in the field, you know and then you start exposing yourself better. You start listening to stories, reading stories, stuff like that.
So my question here, like you started speaking English a little early in your life. Is there a good time to start learning the language?
Well, there are some scientists who say that it's better the younger you begin, it's the better you get at the language. And this is why I really encourage people who are still in the university or haven't gone to university, or even the fresh graduates. You have like the hugest opportunity there is to learn a language. Why? You have a lot of time. So instead of just scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, which you can do, by the way, but just put it in your mind, put it as a daily thing that you can do, daily activity that you can do. to actually get better at that.
So it's more about, let's say, a personal decision, determination.
It's a personal decision, and this is what I've discovered from my own, I've saw it with a lot of course, students and a lot of my friends. I've seen that people who actually spend more time in reading and not reading, reading is really good. I mean, studying grammar. And I think that, grammar slows your mind. You're just spending so much time in studying grammar and when to use this and when to use that. And you're actually missing the most important thing, the practice part. Okay. This is what I've noticed with myself. And this is what I've noticed with my students, a lot of my students actually.
So during this COVID-19, this situation, do you think that learning English like plays a big role?
Of course it does, because English is the most important language in the world. Like, I'm Arab, I love my language. I really love my identity. It plays a great role, in who I am. But let's be honest, English is the most important language in the world. Believe it or not, a lot of people are still not speaking English, and it slows them down as well. Why? Because, like for me as an Arab person, I use probably 95% of my searches on the search bar on YouTube or on Google is in English. Most, like 95% of my search is on YouTube and on Google is in English. Why? Because you have tons and tons of sources that you can pick and choose from them. People from Spain, they write in English because they want to go on a global scale. Okay, they just don't want people in Spain to know about them. Okay, people in China, they do the same. People in wherever in the world, they use English. So English has tons and tons of sources. And this is, of course, is going to help us in gaining more skills and learning about things that potentially can be one day as a job for us.
Yeah. And how much do you recommend like improving our skills, especially in this time where like people are pushed more to know or to develop more skills?
Well, I highly recommend that, because we have a lot of, like, this time everything is speeding right now, especially after COVID. Everything is speeding, and people don't really value the importance of time and the importance of learning and improving themselves. So my recommendation is, you don't have to be a bookworm and sit down and study, everything and make it complicated. This is a personal skill that I've been using over like the 8 years or something. It has benefited me greatly. So what I do is, for example, I'm driving, I'm washing the dishes, I'm cleaning the house. So I'm doing something physical that doesn't require a lot of thinking. What I do is I just play my YouTube or my SoundCloud on anything, that I like to hear, and actually expose myself to this new information. It might, click with me. I might find myself in it. I might find that I'm actually good at something I've never thought I'd be good at. And you're using your dead time. You're not doing anything. You should be driving. This is something that you're supposed to be doing if you're going somewhere. You should be on like a train, for example. So use this time as much as possible to expose yourself to better and wider perspective.
It has been awesome talking to you, Hagar, and getting to know how you propagate and how you advocate more fluency for learning the language and how English is so important, especially nowadays. Thank you so much for that
Thank you.
indeed.
Thank you very much for having me.